What is up there, everybody? Citrus Aviation here for another video. Today, we've got the third part in the Gemini Jets baby bus mold problem saga. So we're going to take a look here at A320NEO. This is the recent release of an A320NEO for Spirit Airlines with the new cockpit mask. And there's someone driving by with their car. I have the sliding door open. I have the sliding door open because it is really nice weather here in Utah. It's evening, it's like 8:30 p.m. at night, and the sunset's coming, it's beautiful outside, it's just really nice. But I want to do this video, and we're talking about the A320NEO. So this one is a recent release. I have actually seen this exact aircraft. This is November 971, November Kilo, and I spotted this aircraft on one of its first flights in Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson in January 2022. So that's when this aircraft was delivered. It was either delivered I think it was delivered very beginning of January 2022, and it became part of the Spirit Airlines fleet. So that was also one of the first aircraft with the cockpit mask that Spirit now has on all the NEO aircraft. So that's really cool. But I want to talk about the Gemini Jets A320NEO mold because this one has a lot of the same problems that the other A320s does, but the engines are not as horrific on this one as on some of the others that they have. Just because the NEO of course has large engines naturally. So I wanted to talk about it and do this final part of the series on these Gemini Jets molds and sort of discuss it with you today. I also have to compare an NG models Spirit A321NEO, so you can see what an actual good A320NEO mold aircraft looks like. So we're gonna get started by taking a look at the close-up details of the Spirit A320NEO. So of course we start here with the nose cone, and of course this has that weird A320 shape that Gemini Jets has on their baby bus molds. It looks a little odd. On this one it looks kind of strange because it looks more like I'm looking at like an A220. I don't know why. This nose is kind of weird on this model in particular. Also, there's some issues with the rubber tire here. On the nose, you see on the front left part, the rubber tire is pushed in too far and kind of slanted, so it looks a little weird and definitely doesn't roll. Yeah, that doesn't roll at all. So that looks strange. Of course, the nose is still a little bit incorrect and looks odd. Let's compare that to the NG models, A321NEO by Spirit, or for Spirit Airlines. And this one has the correct nose shape. You can see it's nice and round, just like how an Airbus nose would be. Because their radome is a very nice curvature. It looks kind of like a dome on the nose of an aircraft. And so you can see it's nice and curved, whereas the Gemini has some cheeks to it, almost like it's a Boeing. You can see the differences there. The NG is more refined, it looks better. So yeah, that's that. Other than that, overall it's fairly decent. You have L1 door, your VHF antenna 1 up top. The landing gear, even though it's a little bit too big, I have seen that argument, it is a little bit oversized. It is very well detailed. I'll give Gemini Jets credit that if we have to have an oversized landing gear to get extra detail, I'm okay with that because the detail on this gear looks really, really good. Here's the NG one. It also is fairly well detailed. It's more to scale, but it's not quite as detailed as the Gemini, which looks, I think that looks a little bit better. And I do like the height on it. The NG is probably slightly more accurate in the height of its aircraft, but this one definitely gets the very tall effect. With the Spirit billboard titles, these are the updated titles as they went away from the Bear Fair titles, which I do have a Gemini Jets. I have two Gemini Jets Spirit A320NEOs with that title. Of course, the new engines, these are the CFM LEAP engines, and they say Spirit.com on them. Now, of course, these engines are massive. They are, frankly, too big. The difference is the A320NEO has large high bypass engines, so these engines being oversized don't look quite as off as on their regular CFMs. Really, they should just put the regular CFM engines into this mold, then it would have been basically perfect. But they made the LEAP engines even bigger, and it's a little bit off. One thing I do like, you see that green ring on the inside engines? That is accurate for the CFM LEAP engines. They do have this green ring on the inside of them, and Gemini Jets is the only manufacturer to show that on the Neos. NG models does not do that, but their Neo engine is more correctly sized. In fact, I should be able to fit the engine inside. Let's see if we can try this here. It is kind of hard to do live on camera, but yeah. This engine should just barely kind of does fit inside. Yep, it does. Just barely. We'll currently have some mating ritual, something going on here between the NG and Gemini Jets A320NEOs. But the NG engine does just barely fit inside the Gemini Jets engine. So this engine is oversized, but not as much as on the CFM. This one is more acceptable. Another issue, some of the early Gemini Jets A320NEOs was that the engine would scrape on the ground. It would literally just sit on the ground. And that was an issue. This one doesn't. It comes really close, but it doesn't quite sit on the ground. It does stay just above the ground, which is important. Of course, we have the new winglet, which has nothing on the outside. On the inside, it does say howdy, but yeah, that's that. Overweight emergency exits. Of course, got two. VHF antenna 2, and you have an ELT antenna. Gemini Jets doesn't like putting antennas on the bottom of the model, so there is no VHF antenna number 3. Should be noted. That should be right down here. And of course, tail number, November 971, November Kilo, and Spirit tail with the APU house detail. This aircraft I did see in Atlanta. It was really cool to see it and to spot it. I saw it take off. It was really neat. But anyway, on this side, we have our forward and aft cargo compartment doors with bin 1, bin 2, bin 3, and bin 4. So that's this aircraft. It looks pretty nice. Overall, I would say the NG is slightly better. Their mold is more refined, more crisp, and better overall. But yeah, let's give this model a score and see how it does. So we have the model on the turntable here. As you can see, the waning last little bits of light are coming in here, as it's now, 8:35 now. But yeah, taking a look here, we have the citrus caliber rating, and we're going to talk about this model. So this scores the best of the last 4 models that we have looked at, of the newer molds, and that's just simply because the engines being oversized are not as bad, and the quality on this one isn't horrible. There's still a slight, wing flex to this one, but this one's not really an issue. It's perfectly acceptable. And so overall, you're getting 7 out of 10 for the wing, just because, again, the engines are a little bit too big, slight wing flex. Overall, decent model though. It's not horrible. It scores a 78 out of 100. So it is still not what I would consider to be in the fleet builder category. It's just a little bit below that. And I would say overall, this model is decent. If you're looking for an A320NEO, Gemini Jets actually has had some decent offerings. They haven't been great, but they have been decent. And this is one of those decent offerings. So if you can get the NG models version, although technically NG has not made this one. The NG one they made was the older version without the cockpit mask. They did have it as the newer Spirit titles, but it does not have the cockpit mask on it. So I have the Bayfair livery, and then NG made the Spirit.com, the newer, slightly updated version, and then Gemini Jets here did the updated version with the cockpit mask. So those are really the 3 banana bus Spirit liveries that you can see flying around. And this one is an acceptable version of it. I think there really could be some improvements made, and there still really is a need for a new mold from Gemini Jets. I hope they get it soon. I hope we get that new mold soon. But this one isn't too horrible. I would still say if you can, just try and get the NG one. I know it's hard to come by, it's pretty expensive, but if you can swing it, I highly recommend it. And so that basically ends my coverage of these models. I know some people are going to be like, you're just doing this because it's going to get a lot of views. And I realize a lot of people are going to watch this because the reality is you make negative content, people are going to generally watch it. But the reality is you guys keep watching it. So I'm going to keep making it. And I really do want to point out some of these issues, not because I hate Gemini Jets or anything like that, but because I want them to improve the quality of the models so they can make better models, so that as collectors we get better models. That really is the goal of what we're doing here. And so really these 3 videos I wanted to highlight the Gemini Jets baby bus molds, talk about them, and sort of give you an idea of what to expect. So really we covered in this series 6 different models. So hopefully this was a good overview of these models for you and you learned something from these videos. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the comments down below. Overall, I'd say, at least for now, the NG models versions are generally better, but there are some decent versions from Gemini Jets, particularly if you can get these with the IEE engines. They're better than the CFM versions. The IEE engine baby buses are better. The CFM Neos are not too horrible. Particularly some of the more recent ones have been better, and JC Wayne's Gemini Jets has been making some updates to the mold. So there are some improvements, but overall if you're looking at one of these and they have the CFM engines, I would avoid them if you can. So that's my personal recommendation. You can do that as you wish. But that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless you.